What's up, y'all? It's TTC, aka the ThunderConductor, and we back for another YouTube video and Twitch stream. If you're on YouTube, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring the bell. And if you're on Twitch, make you follow and ring the bell. We do this twice a week on YouTube and once a week on Twitch. I got a question for y'all. What is your favorite Modern Horizons 3 preview card? We have so many. This is honestly the most powerful set we've seen thus far. We have the new Chthonian Nightmare, new Dockside Combo Outlet. We have the new MDFs that honestly, oh my gosh, I cannot help but keep putting these into my decks. And we also have the Nadu. Honestly, this card is broken. People in my community have already been talking about this. I cannot fucking believe it. Honestly, it may take the top spot for our best. What up? What up, Sir Trekkie? Nadu may honestly take the spot for our top by far Simic deck in the community. We got Sir Trekkie saying definitely 6. 6 is crazy. It with and without Underworld Breach is like, what the fuck? It's really amazing. I have to tell you all though, my favorite card that's been previewed thus far in this Modern Horizon 3 preview set has definitely been SATYA Aetherflux Genius. If you know anything about me, I'm gonna be fully transparent. I'm a Rionia stan. I love Rionia Fire Dancer so much. So when I saw a card that was looking to do exactly what Rionia was doing, but gave us 2 more colors, and at that point, them being my extra favorite 2 colors, blue for counter magic and white for silence effects, I was like, I'm all over this white on rice, bro. I'm over this. Like, dude, I gotta brew this deck. So I took it straight from scratch, and honestly, I have to tell you all, I think I built a monster. I fucked up. I built something too powerful. I don't know what to tell y'all. So your question is, SATYA Aetherflux Genius, what the heck is this doing? Like, you talking about the precon? No. Stay tuned. So what this guy does is he has Menace, Haste, and is a 3/5, and it only costs 4 mana. So it's a big booty for 4 mana, okay? 1 and Jeskai, okay? So it says when SATYA Aetherflux Genius attacks, create a tapped and attacking token that's a copy of up to 1 other target non-token creature you control. You get 2 energy counters. At the beginning of the next end step, sacrifice that token unless you pay the amount of energy equal to its mana value. So what does this mean? Okay, it's really easy to get in the mindset, well, Rionia allows you to make more than 1 token based off of the number of instant sorceries it has. SATYA doesn't give you haste like Rionia does and all these other things, but really think about the power of what this does. The power of what SATYA does is not only does it give you the ability to pay energy and keep the token forever. So where before we had to play things that ended the turn before with the exile trigger on top of the stack for Rionia, it's built in with SATYA. Not to mention that even though it has the weakness of only being able to target the main thing, we're in such powerful colors, we're able to copy amazing draw engines that are within the 0 to 2 mana range. I'll give you some examples just to give you all a small taste. Archivist of Akama, Fairy Mastermind, and honestly my favorite in this deck, Esper Sentinel. If you've never had 3 Esper Sentinels on the board at one time, it's over. I don't know what to tell you. It's honestly fucking crazy. It's like every instant sorcery or just non-creature spell cast in general, you get to basically draw 3 cards, because it gets to the point where they're like, okay, am I really going to tap out completely in order to pay for this Esper Sentinel? And it just keeps happening over and over with these value engines just keep going crazy. But before we get into the full deck tech, if you're looking for more ways to support the show, we have a plethora. We're starting off with our ThunderConductor proxies. It is my way to increase access to this amazing format we call cEDH. Not to mention, it is my way to also give you all access to the new Modern Horizon 3 cards before they even get dropped in your local LGS. Also, we have our ThunderConductor merch. I wear it every day. It's the softest, cleanest merch, and it's what you gotta do. Also, we have our Patreon community. Join the Discord for free. We love to talk brewing and jam out games and have a good time. But we also have an amazing Patreon with a lot of amazing individuals, and you get a lot of perks like getting shout out every stream, have the chance to have one of your decks of choice showcased right here on the stream, and also have an exclusive Q&A that I get to touch on questions that you really love. And I want to take a second to say shout out to our Mono Red patron, Mono Red tier patrons, Scott Mitchell, Wavy Hashira, Nathan Stridham, The Prater, and Sir Trekkie. Y'all are fucking awesome, and you keep the lights on in a way that you couldn't even imagine. And last but not least, if you said, AT, I don't want the Patreon, the proxies, or the merch, I just want to say one time for the fun time that I love what you do and I want to support you. Don't worry. Check out the link in the bio. You can buy me a coffee. It keeps the lights on and keeps me up. But with that being said, let's get straight into this SATYA deck tech. So, what does this deck do and how does it look to do it? Okay, so what SATYA is a proactive turbo mid-range deck. So we're looking on average, it's going to win between turns 3 and 4, but it can push them turn 1 and 2 wins depending on what the opening hand is looking at, seat position, and all the other jazz. But most games you're looking to win between turn 3 and 4. It's very proactive, so you are looking to push your advantage, and there are times where you will push wins through Rhystic Stories, through Mystic Remorse, and other things that seem very taboo. But because we have the counter magic in blue, the silence effects in white, and the speed of red, it is all but possible. How is that done though? Like, how are we doing that? Well, honestly, it gets to the point where we are looking for hands that get us an early advantage engine down, like Archivist of Ozma, Esper Sindel, Very Mastermind, maybe a clone on somebody's we see like where you have a tally in the pod, we'll clone their we plan to get its clone down, and we just want to draw cards, and a lot more than just a couple cards from Rhystic Study. We want to draw a lot of cards really quickly, and so we can go explosive and pull off a crazy win. So then the question comes, T, how does this deck win? I'm glad you asked. If you want a full just breakdown of what this deck do, I have really taken time to make an amazing primer. But let's just talk win cons. There is a bunch, and I have really laid them out great for you. So of course you saw at the top of the list, we are running Teferi Time Raveler and Displacer Kitten. And if you all already aware, we have Teferi Time Raveler on board, Displacer Kitten on board, and you have a 1/0 mana rock or / net positive rock like Chromox, LED, J-Lo, Soul Ring. You're able to basically draw your entire deck, and you're protected by a silent effect. One continual trend that you will find with this list is that we want every card to be running double duty. We preferably would love if in the perfect universe that every card will be part of some win con line, but we also want them to be valuable. So we'll also be talking about some combos that we're choosing not to run purely because both cards aren't going to be always doing something. There sometimes will be dead. For example, I use, Hullbreaker Horror. Though it's a great combo, because we don't have an alkaline command zone, we're not choosing to run Hullbreaker Horror to make infinite mana because we're not always guaranteed to have the One Ring or other things in the battlefield to allow us to really take use of this advantage. But I digress. Of course, we're running Underworld Breach. This deck is a Underworld Breach deck, and a lot of our mass draw or mass mill or mass card advantage is based around Underworld Breach. So just to touch on, of course, you have the Underworld Breach Windfall plus LED, and you can do the same thing. You can switch Windfall out with Wheel of Fortune. This all allows you to cycle your graveyard and escape Wheel of Fortune again, or your Windfall, just to continue to draw cards, discard your hand, draw cards, discard your hand. Notably great to do under a silence effect, but do whatever you think is right. We also have Underworld Breach, Wheel of Fortune, and Jessica's Will. Something that's really cool, like if you're not aware, if your opponent hand has I believe it's 4 or more cards in it, you're able to make 4 red mana off and start floating extra red mana while you recast Wheel of Fortune from your graveyard. And if your commander's out, you also can be impulse drawing off the top of your library as well to get more value. You most likely want to be able to put the cards in your graveyard over the impulse draw, but it's just, the extra value is just fun. So that's just another way to combo with Underworld Breach. We also have Underworld Breach, Wheel of Fortune, Smothering Tithe. One thing that I honestly learned while building this deck is just how many things combo with Underworld Breach that we really don't talk about. Of course, we have the, hey, it's Underworld Breach, Lion's Eye Diamond, and Brain Freeze. That's the known combo. But if you really take the core construct and the core segments of that deck, what it is, it's Underworld Breach plus a mana generator, which most time is LED, but it can also be Smothering Tithe or Jessica's Will or LED or whatever the heck you want it to be. And you also need a way to fill up your graveyard, which is usually a wheel effect, which is usually a brain freeze, which is some type of way to take cards from your hand or the top of your library and put it into your graveyard so you can continue to cast things from your graveyard, okay? So in this case, instead of running Jessica's Will or Lion's Eye Diving, you can use Smothering Tithe. And when you wheel, everyone's going to end up drawing, and so you'll make 21 treasures. And so before, you'll fill up the graveyard and you want to recast LED from the graveyard. Now you're using the treasures from Smothering Tithe to fuel your Underworld Breach combo. Really cool. Learned that, and I didn't know that, so it's pretty cool. Next, we have Underworld Breach, Windfall, Smothering Tithe, same exact thing. This one you want to be cognizant about, because the same with all these Windfall combos, if people's hands aren't gripped up and like say the highest hand count is 3, you're not really going to fill your graveyard as much as you want to. And so this Lion's Eye Diamond combo may not be as possible, but I will say with Smothering Tithe, you're making so many treasures that Windfall plus Smothering Tithe will be a lot better, because you can continually keep filling up. But you do still want to have more than 3 cards in people's hands. Once you get to that 4 spot, you'll be able to filter through your graveyard. Well, I'm discarding 4 cards. I'm going to exile 3 of them to recast the wheel again. And honestly, at that point, you probably want 5 cards, so you can choose between the Windfall, the card of your choice, plus 3 cards to pitch to recast that Windfall. So a little tough, but we're playing cEDH. People are drawing cards. Next, we have Underworld Breach, but instead of Smothering Tithe, we can use Displacer's Kin and Dockside, making at least 3 treasures, and you can use one of the wheels, Windfall, Wheel of Fortune, or Brain Freeze in your hand or your graveyard. And basically, when you cast that non-creature spell, you will flicker the Dockside with Displacer Kitten, creating the mana you need to recast either the Windfall, Wheel, or Brain Freeze, and continue to do it. Once again, your mana generator is Displacer Kitten, Dockside, and your fueler would be Windfall, Wheel of Fortune, or Brain Freeze. And next we have, okay, TTC, you're doing a lot with Underworld Breach. What about some other ways to shred through your library and get to whatever win con, whatever finish you want? Don't worry, we got you. We also have Professional Facebreaker is an amazing outlet. Once again, using Displacer Kitten and Dockside. And if you have one non-creature spell to start the flicker loop, you're able to cast a non-creature spell, flicker your Dockside with Displacer Kitten, and then with all the excess treasures, you're able to shred through your library very beautifully, find another non-creature spell, cast it again, and each time you'll make more and more treasures. Once again, all these are best to do under a silence effect, but it's something that you can jam. I just had a game 2 days ago where I jammed this combo after having my Underworld Breach exiled off the top of the stack, but I didn't care because I know I have other win cons, and I can literally just what I could have done. I found another line, but what I could have done was really just exiling my whole library by keep casting non-creature spells under the Grand Abolisher Silence that I played down, and then just played my Thassa's Oracle in the library. So same thing again with Professional Facebreaker. If you have Professional Facebreaker, Smothering Tithe plus a Wheel / Windfall casted, you can draw X cards, make X times 3 treasure tokens, and X times 3 Impest draws with Professional Facebreaker. So this is a great way to just draw most of your library. Not all of it, but most of it. We have, so like at this point, this is more of like a setup into a breach, or like maybe a step into another wheel or whatever not. But we're basically, the mana generation is the wheel plus the Smothering Tithe, and our outlet will be the Professional Facebreaker. Okay. Next one is my fun one. We have this new MDFC called Pinnacle Monk, and it's a prowess creature, but on the back it is a mono red land that you can pay 3 life and play it. And I'm gonna quote me now. TTC said it first. Honestly, this will be a staple in cEDH because it allows. What's up, Pure Fury? It's gonna allow so many combos to just go fucking crazy. It combos so easily in so many decks, and the fact that it's an untapped land on the back, it just busted. The fact that it's 5 mana is nothing. So if you have Pinnacle Monk, Satya, Aetherflux Genius on board, and one opponent unable to kill him with blockers, you can have Roaming Throne on board as well. And if you have Angel's Grace and an extra turn effect in your hand or your graveyard, you can take infinite turns, do infinite combat damage, draw your entire deck, and create infinite energy. And the whole point behind this, we'll talk more about how it works is, but because Satya makes 1 copy of something each combat, if you have Roaming Throne on board, you can basically make 2 copies, because in addition, Roaming Throne call on human causes Satya to trigger an additional time. Okay, so that means when it makes 2 copies of your Pinnacle Monk, that means you can bring back the extra turn effect plus the Angel's Grace to take infinite turns. The biggest thing is, though, if your opponents have blockers that can kill Satya on attack, you need to be able to find a way to navigate, like, okay, I need an opponent to start the loop off, but eventually I need to find a way to like either wipe the board with like an overload Cyclonic Rift or pick off the people's creatures, because the cool thing is SATYA does have menace. So as long as they only have 1 or less blockers, you'll be Gucci. All right. And when it comes to notable things that I'm not running, Displacer Kitten plus Aetherflux Channeler plus 2 0 mana rocks, that's net positive rocks, is something that is similar to Hullbreaker Horror. I really wanted to find room for Aether Channeler. I just honestly, like, those singular ETB, I didn't think it was good enough, and we can't really consistently do something similar with Hullbreaker Horror. We can't consistently do something with infinite mana. You would think we'd be able to loop it in a way to do infinite draws, but unfortunately does not work like that. And if you want the full combo breakdown, check out my Moxfield primer. I have the combo breakdown right here. You can just click that link there. Also, we're not running Isochron Final Fortune Sundial of Infinite. This is a combo that I tried playing around with my Reunion deck, and I even tried to give it a good go on this deck. It's a little clunky. I'm not gonna lie, it's very clunky. Sundial the Infinite allows you to keep your tokens by exiling the sacrifice effect on the stack from SATYA, but because SATYA already lets you keep your creatures with energy, you really don't need the Sundial the Infinite. And then Isochron Scepter, once again, we don't have a reason to run Dramatic Reversal, so Isochron Scepter almost becomes a dead card. We're not trying to imprint a counterspell in there. We're not a control deck. You'll hear me say that so much. We're not a control deck. So you'll really be in this time where these were just really dead cards. But I am happy. I will say this. I love that I found this combo, because I remembered this combo because when I finally read Pinnacle Monk, it led me to creating this combo with Pinnacle Monk. So we got Pure Fury saying, so since I've seen you had some many bad jokes, I had some many bad jokes, man, like us, your community, we can be the Thunder Legion that we make you in our wait. We could be the Thunder Legion, and that will make you our Palm Colonel. Oh no, Colonel. Wait, what? Type that and give your free thing. I'm not gonna lie though, I like the idea of having calling y'all the Thunder Legion. I'm not gonna cap. That's kind of hot. That's kind of hot. I'm gonna give Pure Fury the flowers of now, and that's a fire name. If you like the idea of being called the Thunder Legion, drop down a link drop down a comment on YouTube or Twitch and let me know if Thunder Legion is what y'all want to be called, because that's hot. I ain't gonna cap. That's fire. But like I was saying, Isochron Final Fortune Sundial was the inspiration to eventually go to, I want to have a way to go infinite turns, and both Roaming Throne and Pinnacle Monk and Angel's Grace and all the extra turn effects are spells that are never dead in the deck. They're always good, and they honestly allow this deck to do very broken things that we'll get to. All right, so T, you can make infinite mana, you can draw the cards. How are you actually fucking finishing the game? How are you winning? I got you. All right. So the first way we win is with SATYA, Aetherflux Genius on board, Lightning Runner, Roaming Throne on board. Okay. If y'all know anything about me, I refuse to play a deck that isn't combo in the command zone. I love the security of knowing that I'm always 1 or 2 top decks away from just winning the game, because there are some times where you're just like stacked out and can't draw a bunch of cards off Ristic or whatever not, or just don't really want to take full benefit of it because of a Bowmaster or something like that, or can't tutor because of opposition agent or an Aven Mind Sensor. So knowing that if I have a Roaming Throne in hand, if I top deck a Lightning Runner, or if I'm playing Reunion, if I just top deck a Combat Celebrant, it always gives me that security to know, okay, I found a way to end the game. I'm not locked out because you stopped me from tutoring or whatever not. So I ended up making this combo with SATYA, Lightning Runner, and Roaming Throne. And similar to what we did with Pinnacle Monk to make 2 copies of Pinnacle Monk to loop Angel's Grace and an extra turn effect, we did the same thing, but this time we're gonna make 2 Lightning Runners. Okay, so how the combo works is Roaming Throne will enter the battlefield, okay, and Lightning Runner will enter the battlefield. Roaming Throne, as it enters, you'll name Human, and when you go to combat and attack with SATYA, Aetherflux Genius, and the original Lightning Runner, what you'll do is you're going to stack all the triggers, so the bottom 2 Lightning Runner triggers, because Human triggers Tice, is going to happen after the SATYA triggers. So you'll make 2 copies of Lightning Runner, okay? And you'll make 4 energy, and then you'll have 2 Lightning Runner triggers to make 4 more energy. And on that last one, you'll pay all 8 energy to untap all creatures that notably have haste. And then you can go and take infinite combats. And after the first combat, if they're not able to kill SATYA or the Lightning Runner, you don't have to attack anymore with the original Lightning Runner. You just attack infinitely with SATYA and the infinite Lightning Runners, and you just go infinite. And at that point, you're making infinite combat steps, infinite combat damage, and infinite, energy counters. And notably, this is a great way to win through an opponent who's attempting to Stax out the table. I say that notably because this is a storm list, not fully, but the combo of the command zone makes it a storm list. But any breach list or anything we're trying to do, we're trying to cast multiple spells in one turns. And even though Rule of Law is not something we see all the time, that along with things that I had played against an Ogier deck the other day, where every instant and sorcery spell I lost 4 life, and then every time I cast a non-creature I lost another 4 life, and it's not a conducive environment to storm off and cast a lot of spells. And so you're left with this thing is, how do I win the game if I can't breach and try to win the game? Combo in the command zone. All right, and we'll actually get to one other alternate win con to win through a Stax board. So we got Pure for You resent the message. So since I've seen you, I've had so many bad jokes, man. Like us, your community, we can be the Thunder Legion, and that will make you the Palm Colonel because you got them big ass shovels on your wrist. Okay, hold on. Pure Legion loves the big fun of my head. And it's all up. If y'all have never seen, in reality, I'm a lot bigger than it looks like. I'm 6'5", like 270, 280. And like it's spread out pretty well. But if you've ever seen my hand next to a playing Magic the Gathering play hard, my hands are considerably large. So it's the inside joke between me and Pure Fury, like about my hand size. But you know, it's hilarious. Oh man, I love you, Pure, for you're fucking hilarious. All right. On to more finishers. We just got done saying a great way to win with infinite combat steps and infinite combat damage. But wait, there's more. Next, we have, of course, if you draw your deck out, mill yourself out, or exile your entire library, you can play Thassa's Oracle, and then you can win the game. Great notably, we're running Thassa's Oracle initially because we need a way to win through an opponent having protection from the One Ring. And it's very important that we do that because things like Brain Freeze and mill our opponents out, not to mention not being able to do combat damage. That means if a player has One Ring, then what the heck are we gonna do? However, where most decks will say Thassa's Oracle is a dead card in the 99, we just have to run it. Why don't you just find another way to win through the One Ring protection? I respond and say, this is actually the best Thassa's Oracle deck in all of cEDH, and I'll explain why. Wait, T, how are you the best Thassa's Oracle deck and you're not even running Demonic Consultation or Tainted Pact? Let me show you. All right, so if you go to my list and you hit Enable Tags, we'll scroll down. We'll talk about our card advantage and draw engines a little bit, but I want to scroll down a little bit past that. And I have one card, a category called Card Divers. No one ever reads this card, but this card is actually great at diving through your deck if your devotion to blue is high enough to find cards that you're looking for. And in select situations, I've actually cast Thassa's Oracle to dig through my library, knowing I have a draw effect on board in order to find the exact card I'm looking for. If you're not familiar, it says, because no one ever reads this card, it says, when Thassa's Oracle enters the battlefield, look at the top X cards of your library, where X is your devotion to blue. Okay? Put up to one of them on top of your library and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. If X is greater than or equal to the number of cards in your library, you win the game. And that's the line that everybody says too. The line we're focusing on as a card diver, instead of a card advantage or a card select or card draw, we're looking at card diving. So how this works is, if you have Aetherflux, SATYA Aetherflux Genius on board, you can cast your Thassa's Oracle. ETB will go on the stack. People like, he's not in black, how is he gonna win? I'm not gonna win. I'm gonna look at the top 3 cards because my devotion is 3. Okay, I don't like any of them. I'll put all 3 at the bottom because it says up to 1 card. So I'll put all 3 at the bottom. Then I'll go to combat, attack with SATYA, Aetherflux Genius, and then make a copy of my Thassa's Oracle. Now my devotion is 5 because I have the copy, the original, and SATYA. Now at that point, I've looked at the top 8 cards of my library for only 2 mana on the turn that I get digging. And so this is great for setting up for something crazy. Or on the flip side, if I have a draw engine and I'm trying to combo off, I just don't have any way. I only have like maybe a 1 ring on 1 or 2, but I just need to find the exact card I need. Being able to go 8 or more deep in your library to find the exact card or align to the exact card you need is just busted. So that's why I say, honestly, this is by far the best Thassa's Oracle deck in all of cEDH. At me, try me, I'm just telling you, like, that's it. We have Pure Fury said, when this man be doing hand gestures, it's like more like hand hurricanes. I'm on your ass, Fury. All right, so we have the, I digress, we continue. Thassa's Oracle, great way to win through the 1 ring, and also a great way to dig through your library. I do not recommend you do this if you're playing against Dimir decks, and not even decks playing black. It's a very risky move, but it's the same as running things like an offer you can't refuse or wheels. You have to, it's like a skill thing. You have to see, is this a good time to just nakedly throw out a Thassa's Oracle, knowing there's a lot of clones that's using this mid-range mana, that is it worth it? And depending on the pod, like if you're playing against more fringe decks, which we've seen a lot, and cEDH where people are trying to express themselves, it's not always TNK. It's just like, hey bro, like it is what it is, man. So I digress, we continue. So the next finisher is, of course, the classic Underworld Breach, Lion's Eye Diamond, or Lotus Petal, and Brain Freeze. And so basically you can either pass a turn or cast a forced draw spell like Wheel of Fortune or Time Twister to basically mill all your opponents out, force them to draw a card, they lose the game. All right. Next we have a fun one, which is the same thing, Underworld Breach, Lion's Eye Diamond, Angel's Grace, okay? Wheel of Fortune or Windsaw. So say if your Brain Freeze gets exiled off the stack, or someone Agatha Soul cauldrons it mid-game or something like that. You know, neither here nor there. You still gotta have a way to win through the 1 ring. This is another way to win through the 1 ring. It's an alternate way, but you gotta be able to draw everybody out, but you'll end up drawing yourself out. So that's one of the reasons why we run Angel's Grace, not just because we're running extra turn effects. Angel Grace basically says it says you can't lose the game, so I can't lose the game, and your opponents can't win the game this turn until the turn damage that would reduce my life total to less than 1 will reduce it to 1 instead, and nobly has split second. So if you lead off the charge by casting this Angel's Grace and then constantly casting wheels back to back to back, you'll keep fueling your graveyard so you can recast it. Not to mention, eventually your opponents will draw. Everyone will get drawn out, but you can't lose the game, but they can. So just another fun way. And once again, we need to be able to win through the 1 ring, because about 99% of the decks in the meta right now are playing the 1 ring because it's that great. A turn 1 to 2 1 ring is just great, and unless they're like a really turbo deck, this is what they're running. Okay. Next, we got to bring the Pinnacle Monk back out. Another combo using Pinnacle Monk. If you have Pinnacle Monk on board, Displacer Kitten on board, Lightning Bolts in your graveyard, and Rite of Flame or Jessica's Will, if Jessica's Will makes 4 or more on the board, you can basically loop Lightning Bolt, which is actually why I'm running Lightning Bolt in this list. You can loop Lightning Bolt infinitely to bolt the entire table. Notably, can't work through the 1 ring protection, but it's just hot. You saying if I have a land on board, Displacer Kitten, which is just also part of the Teferi combo. This Displacer Kitten is just value on value on value. We run so many ETB creatures from Dockside to Imperial Recruiter to Recruiter the Guard. Just crazy. And you saying if I use a removal spell plus Rite of Flame or Jessica's Will, I can go infinite? Yes. How it works is you have those 2 creatures on board. When you cast the Rite of Flame to make 2 mana, the Displacer Kitten will trigger, flickering the Pinnacle Monk. Your Lightning Bolt will go back to hand, and your Rite of Flame will go to the graveyard, giving you 2 red mana. You'll use one of those red manas to go down and recast the Lightning Bolt, targeting someone's face. Displacer Kitten will trigger, targeting Pinnacle Monk, flickering it, allowing you to return your Lightning Bolt to your hand. To return your Rite of Flame back to your hand, and Lightning Bolt will go to the graveyard, and you use that last red to start it all over again to make 2 more red mana. Winch, wash, and repeat. Once again, these MDFPs are going to break this game, y'all. I'm telling you, they're gonna fucking break them. There's so many great MVFCs. I'm not gonna say maybe 4 and 5 color decks, but I can even see some arguments for maybe 4 and 5 color decks to release to run at least one. It's actually fucking crazy. Okay. The very last one is a way to navigate one of this deck's biggest weaknesses, which is stacks. We're a turbo mid-range deck. Like we said, we're trying to win between turn 3 and 4. We'll sometimes pop off some turn 2 wins, but most time it's turn 3 or 4, even through a Ristic or a Fish, depending on what the board state is like. So with that being said, if we can't storm off, we need a way to just inevitability just be there and just kill the board. So if you have Satya on board with at least one opponent with 1 or less blockers and Roaming Throw on board plus 5 turns, you end up doing 183 conduit damage if you completely swing out each turn, and you'll be left with 20 energy afterwards. Now, this is a great way to win through stacks. And then now the question comes up, how the fuck does that shit work? Like, what are you talking about? Roaming Throne and this and blah, 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 blah. I'll show you. Okay. So you have to keep in mind first that Roaming Throne has some rules to it, because Roaming Throne's third ability, first of all, you have to know that Roaming Throne's third ability, technically fourth ability, after the ward, is if a triggered ability of another creature you control the chosen type triggers, it triggers an additional time. So that's not a trigger, that's a replacement effect. So if it's naming human, Satya has a Roaming Throne causes Satya's ability to trigger twice instead of just an additional time, not double, but an additional time instead of just once. And also the ruling you have to be aware of is that if you just read the Roaming Throne ruling, is if you control 2 Roaming Thrones with the same chosen creature type, triggered abilities of the other creature control of the chosen type triggers 3 times, and 3 such Roaming Thrones result in 4 triggered abilities, and so on and so forth. So how the combo works is we use these formulas. If you all don't know, I was a mechanical engineer in college, so I love myself a good formula. How it works is on turn 1, you'll swing with Satya for 3 damage, and you'll make 2 copies of Roaming Throne. Okay, so you'll swing for 4 times 2, which is 8, plus 3, which at that point is 11. Okay, turn 2, you'll lose the summoning sickness, and at the end of that turn, you'll keep 4 energy, so you'll keep one of the copies, you'll lose one of the copies. Okay, that'll increase to turn 2, where now you'll have 3 Roaming Thrones, you'll be making 3 more to turn 3, to turn 4, to turn 5. Always making sure you use the maximum amount of energy to save as many Roaming Thrones as possible. And at the end of that 5th turn, you've done 183 combat damage. Okay. And to be honest, it's more likely to be 3 to 4 turns, because we're acting like people don't fetch, that people don't naturally get hit from other things, that people aren't going to be doing things that just naturally cause them to just lose life, because life is a resource that every deck uses, from everything from the One Ring to all of the other jazz and above. And this is not the combo I would recommend going to first, but because this deck's weakness is stacks, and Roaming Throne is already a combo with Lightning Runner, knowing in the back of your head that, okay, I just got stacked out, I don't know how I'm going to win through Breach, but I have this Roaming Throne, I'm going to cast it, and I'm going to start beating up the person who's stacking me out. Or I'm going to beat up the person who's drawing a bunch of cards, who's going to be trying to get out of these stacks. And it's going to look innocent at first, but then get out of control super, super fast. So, like I said, additional note, just remember, this is assuming that all available energy to keep as many Roaming Thrones alive each turn, and that you are swinging out with all creatures every turn. Okay, I love this combo, and I figured it out playing one of my homeboys last night in paper in person. So just shout out to my man Jared. He's the GOAT for helping me as we're trying to figure out the math to how to do this. And also shout out to the Rionia community, Faded MCG, for helping with the Roaming Throne math. He's been bullish on this card ever since it got printed for Rionia. And so flowers to him. He was right. This is a great card, and I can only imagine what it does inside of Rionia Fire Dancer. All right. Lastly, I want to talk about finishers we're not currently running. So this is SATYA, Aetherflux Genius plus Port Racer. This is the combo everyone is talking about, and this is the one that's all on the websites already. If you check online, you look up SATYA Aetherflux Genius combos. This is the first one that pops up. The problem with this one is it only can kill an opponent who doesn't have blockers, because Port Racer has to do damage, and because SATYA doesn't give haste, I'm gonna be honest, it's just I had it at first. and I decided to take it out, and actually I put Lightning Runner in instead, because Lightning Runner is not just synergistic, and you can just naturally like store up energy throughout the game and then play Lightning Runner to just cheat out, even if it's not infinite turns with Roaming Throne. You can, infinite combats with Roaming Throne. You can do some cheeky stuff where you take 2, 3, 4 combats and just clean up the table, because remember, Lightning Runner has double strike and haste. So each time you untap all your creatures, you can swing out over and over again, okay? So that's just busted, first of all. And so that, with that being said, we let Port Razor go. We also have Aggravated Assault. This was actually the card we took out for Roaming Throne, because Aggravated Assault, unfortunately, it's a dead card when we're not trying to win with it. Aggravated Assault with Dockside, making at least 5 treasures, goes infinite to give you infinite combat stuff, infinite combat damage, and infinite treasures if your Dockside makes 6 more. And it all is done right in the command zone with Satya. The thing we have, Satya Aetherflux Genius with Aggravated Assault and Professional Facebreaker. Once again, a combo that I took it straight out of the Reunion deck, but because Aggravated Assault is just a dead card that you're not really using, and you having to pay mana to go infinite, versus with Lightning Runner you paying energy, which is already synergistic with the commander, it gets very, very difficult to look at this card on a top deck and not have a Dockside or Professional Facebreaker to go with it. So let it go. It was tough, but I let it go. The other combo we decided to take out is all 3 dual caster mage combos with Twin Flame, Multiple Duplication, and Heat Shimmer. Not because these are bad, not because they're bad. They're great. They're actually really powerful. I've created combo lines that actually go with where you can literally start off with one of the recruiter, either Recruiter the Guard or Imperial Recruiter, and literally with just a good amount of mana, you can go through on this chain and start with 1 card and literally end with the dual caster mage heat shimmer combo. And it's really sexy. If you want to see how it works, check out the primer down below if you decide to kind of spice up the list. I personally let them go because I wanted to get experimental and try to spice things up, and I wanted to lean harder on Satya to have a combo in the command zone, because that's just my personality and I love it. However, no hard feelings. If these are cards that you really want to run, they are good, and I'm not going to sit here. Dual Caster Mage being a counterspell or a copy of Demonitor or whatever you want is really powerful, not to mention all these copy effects. We are running a lot of ETB things, and so if, with that being said, there's a lot of cards that just have synergy, and making another copy of your Imperial Recruiter or your Lightning Runner or your Grand Abolisher, if you want to get around those Channel Otawaras or Roaming Throne or whatever the heck you want to really go and have massive turns, or even the Witch Enchanter, another MBFC, is really powerful. So either way, that's personal choice. I like to lean a little more in the command zone because it is a weakness but a strength at the same time. But don't ever let it stop you. All right. Now, very much lastly, we've talked about the finishers, we've talked about the infinite mana, but the last thing I want to talk about is what I like to call the 1-card combo enablers. Okay, if you look at my primer, I have 4 cards under these combo line enablers, and that's Imperial Recruiter, Intuition, Recruiter of the Guard, and Spellseeker. When I say these are combo line enablers, I say that you can start with either one of these singular cards, and if you have this plus mana, you win the game. Okay, let me say that again. You can start with any singular one of these cards and go this plus mana and win the game. Okay, it's amazing, and I personally love taking the time to brew and find these combo lines, and it's really busted. So let's get into it. Like, honestly, starting off at the very top, Intuition. I don't think I need to go into it. The Intuition combo line is you want to have about 3 to 5. I believe depending on what you have available, you want to have about 3 to 5 cards in your graveyard. And if you want the written down, please check out this link in the bio. This combo breakdown link right there, but you just go search your library for Lion's Eye Diamond, Savine's Reclamation, and Underworld Breach, and no matter what card they give you, you win the game through a Breach combo line using flashing back Savine's Reclamation to bring back most people will give you LED, so you'll just flash back Savine's Reclamation to bring back Underworld Breach, and then follow that up with recasting Intuition to go find Brain Freeze and whichever 2 other cards you want. So that's why you need 3 other cards in your graveyard to flash back the Intuition. And also, it's just nice, clean, and simple, gets the job done. Be cognizant though, people mostly do Intuitions or Insteps. Don't mess up the math for the number of cards you have or need in your graveyard, because you can really easily mess this up by not having enough what I like to call graveyard fillers that we'll talk about a little bit later in the deck. So this is something you really want to be cognizant about. Next, we have the Spellseeker Breach Ephemerate Underworld Breach combo line. I like to call it the Spellseeker Breach combo line. This is a known combo line and was honestly the inspiration for all the other combo lines in this deck. How it works is, and I actually would love, we're going to take a second. I'm actually going to take a second and get out this view. And I want to show y'all actually live just to show y'all how busted this shit is. So let's go to a playtest real quick. We'll move this all to the library and then we're going to go search up Spellseeker. All right, we got Spellseeker on board. So, like I said, this is going to take a shit ton of mana. So I'm pre-warning you. You're gonna say, "But T, that takes a lot of mana. Is that viable?" Trust me, it is a lot more viable than you think. It's actually very viable, and it's crazy how much mana you can create in this deck. But we'll get more in that in a second. So you start off. The prerequisites are you want to have Spellseeker in hand, an extra turn effect in your hand or your graveyard, and Line Tutor in your hand or graveyard, Underworld Breach in your hand or graveyard, Brain Freeze in your hand or your graveyard or your library, Lion's Eye Diving in your hand on your board or your library, and you want to have at least 5 cards in your graveyard, and then you want to have a plethora of mana. That is 2, a blue and a white and 2 red on your first turn, and 2, a blue and 3 white on your winning turn. Okay, so you're gonna start off. You're gonna cast Spellseeker. Spellseeker will enter the library, and you're gonna go look for Ephemerate. You'll get Ephemerate to your hand, and then you'll cast Ephemerate targeting Spellseeker. All right, this will not go to your graveyard. It has an ability called Rebound. So basically how that works is it'll go to exile and you can cast it for free at the beginning of your next end step. But you're gonna flicker Spellseeker, and this time you're going to go look for Final Fortune or one of your extra turn effects. So we'll go look for Final Fortune, close and shuffle. You're gonna get Final Fortune, you're gonna cast Final Fortune, okay? You'll cast Final Fortune and you'll go to that extra turn. And then at that point, you're gonna go to your Final Fortune turn, and then you'll recast the Ephemerate at the beginning of your upkeep, targeting your Spellseeker, and then you're gonna go search for Enlightened Tutor. Enlightened Tutor will go off, and then you'll still cast this in the upkeep, and you're gonna go then search for Brain Freeze. All right, no, not Brain Freeze, Underworld Breach. Bop. At this point, Underworld Breach will go on top of your library, and you'll follow that up by just going to your main phase and then drawing a card. Just untap, upkeep, draw. You will then cast the Underworld Breach. This is why you need 5 cards. You're going to escape Ephemerate from your graveyard. You're going to escape Ephemerate going from the graveyard, exiling 3 cards. We're just skipping that step for now because it can be any 5 cards. You'll escape Ephemerate from the graveyard, but because it was not cast from your hand, it will not exile to the rebound, so it'll just go back to your graveyard. You're gonna target the Spellseeker, and you're gonna go put Brain Freeze into your hand. Brain Freeze will go to your hand, and you'll be like, okay, well, what else here are we doing? Don't worry, there's more. We're gonna go back to our graveyard and then escape one more card, being Enlightened Tutor. And this time we will escape Enlightened Tutor one more time, exiling 3 more cards, because at first we exiled 3, and this time we can exile 3, including the Ephemerate, to go look for Lion's Eye Diamond. And then the cool thing with this, Lion's Eye will go to the top of the library, and you're saying, well, how are we going to draw the card? Don't worry, we just happen to have this Brain Freeze in hand, which at this point from the spells we've cast this turn are going to mill us at least for 18 cards. If you cast more spells this turn, they will mill you for more, because we have a Storm of 5 plus the original Brain Freeze. That's 6 times 3, which is 18. So we'll cast the Brain Freeze, and then we will mill ourselves for 18 cards. So we just go mill top 18 cards. And at that point, we have assembled the LED, Brain Freeze, and Underworld Breach combo, all starting off from just Spellseeker. All right. Arguments can be made about a lot of times decks choose not to run this combo because especially Ephemerate is seen a little bit like a dead card, but I think specifically this deck specifically is really busted because Ephemerate is great because we run all the recruited creatures, we run Dockside, and our deck is looking to make clones of things. So being able to flicker them to either protect them, to be able to flicker them, to be able to get another ETB is already what our commander's trying to do, and Ephemerate is just enabling our commander. And actually, speaking of that, there is actually a combo line where, say, for example, you didn't run Ephemerate, you can still do this combo line. And so let me show you how it works. How that works is, and this time we'll actually go to back to our primer. And I'm not gonna lie, like, if y'all can't tell, I went crazy with these combo lines. This is where things start to get wacky. You can see the brewer in TTC. I love the brew from scratch, but I also love to brew and enhance on what's already there. So after I made my solid core of cards, I went ahead and went crazy. So check this out. So this combo line can be done using Satya if Ephemerate is not available, or if you are low on white mana by doing the following. Okay, so you want to have Spellseeker in hand. Satya must be on board and have a player that can attack without dying. You need an extra turn effect in your hand or in your library. Same with Enlightened Tutor, Underworld Breach, Brain Freeze, and LED. They either need to be on hand or in your library. All right. Next, we also need at least 3 cards in our graveyard. So instead of 5, we need 3. And we need 2, a blue, and 2 red available on your first turn. And you need 2, a blue, and 2 white, and a red available on your extra turn. So it's going to start off the same. You're going to cast Spellseeker. Spellseeker enter the battlefield trigger goes off unless you search your library for Final Fortune. All right, we'll cast instead of casting the Final Fortune, we're going to go to combat first and attack with Satya to make a copy of Spellseeker. Spellseeker lets you find Spellseeker will enter the battlefield again from the copy, and then you're going to find Inline Tutor. Next, you're going to move and cast Final Fortune, and then you're going to move your extra turn and cast Inline Tutor in your upkeep once again, and this one is going to go find Underworld Breach, and then where before you use the Ephemerate to flicker Spellseeker to go get casting from the graveyard to go get your Brain Freeze, you just go to combat again with Satya and then attack, making another copy of Spellseeker to go find Brain Freeze, and then at that point you go to your second main phase, cast Underworld Breach, escape line 2 to go find Lion's Eyes Diamond, and then go get Brain Freeze to put LED in the graveyard along with milling yourself 18 cards, and rinse, wash, and repeat. You just finish the game off with Thassa's Oracle with an empty library, or you can escape Brain Freeze to mill your opponents out and use Fairy Mastermind, Wheel of Fortune, or Windfall to force them to lose the game. By far, we are entering the zone of the unknown, where we're using our commander as a value engine with Esper Sentinel, Fairy Mastermind, and all the other cool creatures, and now we're using him to win in combo lines. But wait, there's more. All right, I like to show you all to the Recruiter Infinite Combat Steps combo line. All right, so this combo line can be done using Imperial Recruiter or Recruiter of the Guard, and Satya Aetherflux Genius to combo off with Lightning Runner and Roaming Throne. So this is one I would actually like to show you all before we on the playtest screen again. It does need a lot of mana, but I'm going to tell you all, I've actually won. I've played about, at this point, maybe 15 games with this deck, and I've won using this combo at least 2 of those games, which is impressive because I've only lost about 3 of those 15 games, which is very impressive with a win con. And it's been very impressive. So let's take a second and go back to our playtest screen, and I will show you all how this combo works. Go to playtest screen. Once again, we'll move all of these cards to the top of our library, and there are some prerequisites like these cards that we end up searching now need to either be in your hand or in your library. So just understand, as I'm searching for these things, if the cards are in your hand, they do the same exact thing. You just get to skip a step and not have to search them out your library. But starting off, we're gonna go for Imperial Recruiter or Recruiter of the Guard, but mono red mage. So I'm gonna go look for Imperial Recruiter. All right, and also you already need to have Satya on the board as a prerequisite. It just needs to be on board, and he needs to have somebody that he can attack without dying. Okay, so with the Satya on the board, you're gonna cast Imperial Recruiter. Imperial Recruiters enter the battlefield, trigger goes off, and you're gonna go search for Lightning Runner. All right. Lightning Runner goes to hand, and then you're like, okay, well, where's the Roaming Throne at, T? Like, how do we get to the combo? Just wait, we're almost there. What we're going to do next is we're then going to go to combat, attack with Satya, and then make a copy of our Imperial Recruiter. And that's tapped and tapping. We're going to go look for Spellseeker. And we're gonna go put that in the hand. We're gonna go to second main. We're gonna go to our second main phase and cast Spellseeker, and then that ETB goes off, and then we're gonna go get Ephemerate. Ooh. Ephemerate will go to hand, and we'll cast Ephemerate, going to the rebound hand, going back to the rebound zone, and then we're going to go look for an extra turn effect within Final Fortune. And now things start to look a lot familiar. At this point, we're going to cast the extra turn effect at the beginning. We've made 2 energy from Satya, but we're not going to keep the Imperial Recruiter token because that's not important. So we'll just let that token dissolve. It really doesn't matter where it goes. We'll cast Final Fortune, and then we'll go to that next turn. On the beginning of that upkeep of that next turn, Ephemerate would trigger. We're going to target Spellseeker. And this time, similar to before, we're going to go find Enlightened Tutor. We will cast Enlightened Tutor in that upkeep. And then we are going to go search for what? Roaming Throne's an artifact? Yes! Roaming Throne. We're going to search our library for Roaming Throne, put Roaming Throne on top of our library, and then when we draw for turn, at this point, we've assembled the Roaming Throne Lightning Runner combo. We will cast the Roaming Throne, cast the Lightning Runner. Now, all of our humans trigger an additional time. That means if you have any extra stuff like an S% on board, that will draw you coup cards. If you try to search again with your Imperial Recruiter or with your Spellseeker, they will trigger twice. And as it enters, of course, like I've already said, Roaming Throne, you want to name human. We follow that up with going to combat. We're going to attack with Lightning Runner and Satya. We're going to start now keeping track of energy. First, we're going to allow the Satya triggers going off, trigger targeting the Lightning Runners. We're going to make 1, 2, 3, 4 energy and make 2 copies of Lightning Runner that are tapped and attacking. And the cool thing about it is now when we go to the original Lightning Runner trigger that triggers twice because of Roaming Throne, because it's a human, we'll make 2 more energy, and we don't have 8 the first time, but the second time that ability triggers and resolves, we'll have 8 energy, and then we'll use its ability that says whenever Lightning Runner attacks, you get 2 energy, then you may pay 8 energy, and if you pay, untap all creature control. After this phase, there's an additional combat phase. So you'll untap all your attacking creatures, and then you'll rinse, wash, and repeat using all 8 energy, but this time you will attack with just the clones. Satya is gonna target the Lightning Runner, and this time you'll make 2 more Lightning Runner clones. These will also trigger them as they are individual, and so at this point now you have infinite, because you are making 2 more Lightning Runner clones. You have the original Lightning Runner, these already created Lightning Runner copies that are gonna do a thing. Infinite combat steps, infinite energy, infinite combat phases. It's fucking crazy. And it all started off with Imperial Recruiter, but notably you can also do this combo with Recruiter of the Guard. Now, one more combo I want to show you all, and this is the big one. It's the Recruiter Infinite Turns combo line. So instead of trying to end the turn with infinite combat phases, we're going to try to end the game with infinite turns. So how this works, let's just restart the game. All right. We'll move all these cards to the library, and once again, this is we'll move all these back to our library. This one we'll actually do with Recruiter of the Guard just to prove a point, because we got to throw the mono white mages some love as well. The prerequisite for this combo is once again having Satya already on the board. Okay, that's just naturally happen as you use it as a value piece. Or there have been games literally that in my first iterations of the game, I had Smothering Tithe out. Drew me in that thing with a wheel can make you 20 plus treasures. Even without a wheel, with the mid-range meta we're in right now, I've had 50 treasures off Smothering Tithe in the last week of games. That just the draw engines are going crazy, and you can just make a shit ton of treasures. And even with the last combo, I forgot to say this, Jessica's Will. I had a Jessica's Will for 16 that allowed me to win with the Lightning Runner Roaming Throne combo, which was it was like, once again, you drop that silence effect and everyone's just sitting there. They just drew a bunch of cards, and now you drop a silence effect. It's like, oh shit, I don't have any free counter magic to stop Grand Abolisher. And that Jessica's Will for 16 paid for Roaming Throne plus the Lightning Runner. So let's talk about this one though. How do we take infinite turns starting off just with Recruiter of the Guard? Well, I'm glad you asked. This one's going to be spicy because we're going to go take multiple turns. All right. And so first, what we're going to do, we're going to cast that Recruiter of the Guard. All right. We're going to start off and search our library this time for Spellseeker. We're going to get Spellseeker. We're going to cast Spellseeker. All right. Spellseeker ETBs. And then we're going to go look for. Oh, my bad. I lied. We're not going to cast Spell Seeker yet. Put the Spell Seeker in your hand. We're going to go to combat first. And we're going to attack with Satya, making a copy of the Recruiter of the Guard. So there's your little copy. Tapped and attacking. And then we're going to go look for Pinnacle Monk. You see where we're going? We see where we're going? Yes. Pinnacle Monk will go to hand, and then you'll go to your second main phase. You will cast Spell Seeker, and then it's going to be very similar to before. We're going to get Ephemerate. Ephemerate will go off targeting Spell Seeker, and we will go get an extra turn spell. Now, notably, we need 2 extra turn spells to do this combo. You all will see, but it's very much possible. It's very much possible because we do run we run Last Chance and Final Fortune in this list. So we'll go get Final Fortune. We'll put that into our hand, and then we're going to follow that up by casting the extra turn spell. Okay. We'll go to our new turn, and in the upkeep, we're going to continue down the line similar to like we did before. We will rebound this Ephemerate carding spells, targeting Spell Seeker, and then we are going to go get Enlightened Tutor for Roaming Throne. And this is like, for example, say if your Lightning Runner is just not available and you don't, or you can't do combat damage to somebody, or there's just some shenanigans in some reason. It's more of it's a little reachy, but it actually, like, I hate to admit it, I've won with this combo. It's fucking crazy, but we'll put Roaming Throne into our hand. We followed that up, which we're gonna go to combat, and then we are going to do the next 3 damage to an opponent. And this time we're going to attack, and we're going to make a copy of our Spell Seeker. So this clone went away last turn. We should have 2 roaming lagging energy. We put this energy down, and we'll make another attack and tapping copy of Spell Seeker. This time we will go look for Angel's Grace. Angel's Grace will go to hand. And then now you're sitting here and saying, okay, I'm starting to see where it's going, TTC. I'm starting to see where it's going. And then what we will do is we will first go to our second main phase after this, cast Pinnacle Monk. Pinnacle Monk will enter the battlefield and return target instant or sorcery spell from our graveyard to our hand. And then we will go to our graveyard and put Final Fortune back into our hand. What? We will then follow that up by casting Final Fortune again and Angel's Grace to take another extra turn. And then we'll follow that up with our third extra turn to draw a card. We'll draw a card for turn. For this example, it's just any card. Talisman of Conviction is just fine. Then we will go ahead and cast the Roaming Throne during our first main phase. And then you will go attack with not Pinnacle Monk, but this. You will attack with the Satya to make 2 copies of Pinnacle Monk. Ooh. You've now made 2 Pinnacle attacks. The ETBs will go off. You'll return Final Fortune and Angel's Grace. And then at this point, you're going to repeat the last few steps just to cast Angel's Grace, cast Final Fortune, and then just rinse, wash, and repeat. I've already said, like I said, this combo does take a lot of mana to perform. So if you're attempting to pull this off in the early game, you're going to want to use spells like Dockside, Extortionist, notably with Displacer Kitten, Smothering Tithe, if with the wheel effect, if you're doing the early game, or Jessica's Will on a high after someone's drawn a lot of cards. To pull this combo off, it is very, very much possible to loop those spells over and over using Pinnacle Monk and other cute things. Now, there was one thing that I neglected to tell you all, and that thing is the only constraint to this combo line is that Satya has to be able to attack somebody and do combat and get through combat damage without getting killed with combat damage. So each time you start to hear me say do 3 damage, do 3 damage, do 3 damage, you need one opponent to have at least 12 life so you can do this combo line with the 3 damage, across the 4 phases. But after that, then you say, well, TTC, if you can't attack with Satya anymore to make the double triggers, how are you going to win then? How are you going to get this done? And at that point, I say this in our primer. And just so you all can see how to use it, we're gonna go back to our primer one last time. We're gonna go to our win cons, And we're gonna go down to 1-card combo lines, and then we're gonna go back down to our recruiter infinite turns combo line. You will see that the combo line we just said, that's what we just finished off. But optional, if the remaining opponents have blockers that could kill Satya, Satya, Aetherflux Genius, you can add the following cards to switch out the following steps. So going back to step 21, where we went to the extra turn spell, went to the third extra turn and drew a card. What we do is we move to the extra turn, draw a card, and then we're gonna go to combat. We're gonna attack with Satya, dealing the final 3 damage to opponent. That's 12 damage that can't block or kill him. We'll make 1 copy of Pinnacle Monk, and then we'll do the other copy of Spellseeker, because at this point, Roaming Throne's already on the battlefield, okay? And then Roaming Throne will go off, seeing Satya's attack trigger resolving. You'll make a copy of Pinnacle Monk to make a copy of Angel's Grace, and you're gonna have a copy of Spellseeker go off. 2 ETBs are gonna go off, and you'll have 1 go find Cyclonic Rift, and then you'll have 1 go get an extra turn spell like Last Chance. Now you're gonna cast a new extra turn spell and Angel's Grace, but before you do, what you're gonna do is, if you're in combat at this point and you're about to try to do the extra 12 damage at this point, but you say, well, before we go to blocks, I'm gonna overload the Cyclonic Rift I just got off Spellseeker to bounce all your blockers at this point. And then now you can do the combo line, finish off taking infinite combat sex, making infinite energy, doing infinite turns, and all the other shenanigans. And this is all made possible. Let's not forget that this all started by purely having Imperial Recruiter in hand, Recruiter in the Guard in hand, and just having, in this case, a shit ton of mana that I would love to say that this was impossible. I'd love to say I was delusional and TTC, what are you thinking? But I've won with these combos, and they're actually pretty potent and pretty crazy, and make drawing an Imperial Recruiter, making us back to my argument of why I love command zone cards. It goes back to me saying, I like to be able to draw 1 card and say, I found my out, I can win the game. Because for me, there's too many times where you're sitting there and we have too many convoluted combos where can I draw 1 card and win the game? So with that being said, we've gone through all of our win cons. We've gone through all of them. And you're saying, T, I feel overloaded, but I feel amazing because you've just shown me the potency of Satya Aetherflux Genius over all the other Modern Horizon 3 cards and over all the Jeskai cards. But I need to know more about this deck though. What about the 99? Well, we've already talked about the win cons. If you hit the enable tags here, I've tagged everything for you all. We've already talked about the win cons, we've talked about the combo lines, and we've already talked about the finishers. But now let's take a sec and we've all also talk about 0 mana rocks that go with the Teferi Displaced Kin combo. But let's talk about tutors. We got to get to these combos. So of course we're running a standard tutor package. We have 9 in the deck. Nothing really crazy. Notably, I'm playtesting Goblin Engineer currently in the list to be able to go get put it down turn 1 to go get a turn 2 Esper Sentinel out, or in the late game just go get LED, and I don't have to exile more cards to recast Gamble if I'm doing an intuition like, and just purely just cast Goblin Engineer, put LED in the graveyard, and go breach. Mystical Tutor, the Recruiters, Ranger Captain, nice and simple. We were running Muddle the Mixture in the past, and it's currently still in my sideboard, but currently not on Muddle the Mixture. So if you are interested in knowing all the Muddle the Mixture tutor targets, there's a lot. Now, we can't, I will say, when it comes to getting notable Goblin Engineer tuners, we are running Brass's Tunnel Grinder, recommended by Deck Tech for Decks, awesome member inside the ThunderConductor community, aka the Thunder Legion, possibly. Shout out to my guy, Pure Fury. And the whole point about it is I want to be able to aggressively mulligan, or for example, there are times where I'll have 2 or 3 Esper Sentinels out and I've just drawn a shit ton of cards, but I didn't find the pieces I needed. I found a bunch of lands and counter magic, and I maybe have a Brass's Tunnel Grinder. I can untap for my turn, cast Brass's Tunnel Grinder, and it says when it enters the battlefield, discard any number of cards that then draw that many cards +1. So I've untapped sometimes with 15 or 16 cards. I play that, go down to 15 cards, draw 16 cards, and now I have a fresh grip of 16 plus all my other untapped mana do a lot of crazy things. So that's the potential of the card. We also have the back of the card that says it's a land, that it says whenever you cast a permanent spell using the mana produced from this named Takut Land, the Searing Rift, Using the mana produced from Tukulet, here in Rift, discover X, where X is that spell's mana value. And so I want to say, notably, the thing is, though we don't have the craziest things, it's just a little bit extra value, and nothing really hurts with that. So some other notable Goblin Legionary recruiting targets is just pretty simple stuff. Sometimes we may want to push it out for an early commander, Lotus Petal. We've already talked about Esper Sentinel. So that's what we're tutoring. But now let's talk about how we're drawing cards, because it's not always just about the tutoring. So similar, once again, pretty standard package. We've already talked about the Brass's Tunnel Grinder. We have talked about also our 2 and lower mana creatures that are allowing us to do what we do, making copies of them and keeping the copies around with our commander. Notably, we're not running Ledger Shredder. I'm not running Ledger Shredder because I personally don't like the feeling of if I'm countering things and interacting with the table between turn 1 and 3, which I'm trying to win, Ledger Shredder will strip your hands, and you'll have 2 or 3 Ledger Shredders go off, and there'll be these big behemoth creatures be like, oh shit, where did all my cards go? And you'll have no cards in hand, and then you'll have to start discarding the good cards to get the job done. So Personnel Ledger Shredder, but not a bad card. If you choose to run in your own brew, feel free. Also, J Will, just standard Mystic Remore, Ristic Study, Professional Facebreaker. We make a lot of treasures with Smothering Side, Dockside, and Mr. Professional Facebreaker himself. Making a clone of PFB with our commander and going to combat's also cracked. And we also have the One Ring, both wheels that we're running as well. Notably, we've already talked about the Force Draw engines, but notice that these are running double duty, not just to draw us cards, but also to force our opponents to draw cards after we mill them out. We also have our graveyard fillers. Now, these are where we kind of get into the love of TTC and things that I love to do. This is kind of where my brewer's side gets in. Of course, we know about the wheels, we know about the brain freeze, we know about the brass tunnel grinder. Mox Diamond is a fun one, and also Goblin Engineer. But I want to talk about 2 cards specifically. First, Crash. There will be times in this game where you have to choose between tapping out completely to stop an opponent. Tapping out completely to get a huge advantage and set up for one of your next turn, or leaving mana up to stop an opponent. And what Crash allows us to do is not just have an instant speed artifact removal to remove Stax pieces, but also have a way to remove an artifact at instant speed that may be giving them an advantage. This could be an Agatha Soul Cauldron for a Francisco combo. This could be a Teferi Chainveil for a Teferi Chainveil combo. This could be a Grafter's Cage that's stopping you from going to your breach line. Being able just to sacrifice that mountain. We run 4 currently, both True Duels, the Shocks. Not to mention we also have 9 fetch lands that increase that our legal targets to go get those. And so I find that honestly, it's very seldomly not turned on because it just is a great land. Not to mention, my favorite thing about this card is that when you're on your breach winning turn, you literally can just cast this, destroy one of your own artifacts, put the artifact in the graveyard, one of your mountains in the graveyard, and your artifact. You just put 3 cards in your graveyard off 1 artifact. That's fucking busted. It's broke. And honestly, I love it. And it was the perfect fit of interacting with our opponents to stop them from winning, pushing our own game plan forward, and just being an overall fun brewing experience. The other one I want to talk about is Pull from Eternity. I had an experience at one of my local LGSs where I was playing against Paco and Halden. And when I say my guy, I had 2 or 3 Ledger Shredders on board. I was killing it. I was looking like, okay, I'm not enjoying. I was still playing Test and Ledger Shredder, and I had 15, 16 cards in my graveyard by turn 2 or 3. And then Paco finally came out, and the first Paco hit flipped my card. It was my Underworld Breach. I kid you not, my entire world was like, fuck. Literally, if I drew 1 extra card or did something I can't even, it got exiled by Paco. If you're not familiar with this, Paco, whenever it attacks, it exiles a top card of each person's library. And then if every non-creature card revealed puts a +1/+1 counter on Halden, and then it puts a fetch counter on each of those cards to be later cast with Halden. The problem is I just lost access to one of the main win cons of the deck because I didn't run Pool from Eternity. So this is just such a great card to be like, I can get my breach back. If I had a game where someone exiled my professional face breaker when I was making a shit ton of treasures off my smothering tithe, and I didn't mind because I'm like, I still run Pool from Eternity at the 99. So either I naturally draw it, or I can tutor with it with Mystical Tutor or Spellseeker to go get it, put it in the graveyard, and I can use things like Savine's Reclamation or Underworld Breach to recast the professional face breaker and re-get advantage. So Pool for Eternity, not a popular card, but a card that I actually shout out to Fervent Alchemist. I took inspiration off of his Jeskai list, Narset Enlightened Exile, and I love his inclusion of Pool from Eternity, and I as of right now, it's a mainstay in the list. It's really powerful and really great. We've already talked about our best card diversity, Thassa's Oracle, but just to state it again, if you're not aware, this allows you to dig 8 cards deep by just casting Thassa's with Satya on board and going to combat and making more copies of it. Like I said, I literally had a game that I won because of being able to dig for this card. It was fucking crazy. I had like I took 2 extra turns, cast a Displacer. I took 2 extra turns, made a copy of my Recruiter of the Guard, went to go get Displacer Kitten, put Kitten on the board, followed that up with flickering my casting a non-creature to flicker my Kitten. To flicker my Recruiter of the Guard to go get Thassa's, and I had already had a silence effect on board. I was at that point, I was just looking for a way to win the game because I think my breach was already exiled or something was going on where I couldn't really do a breach combo, or I just was unsure if it was going to be able to do it. And I literally went Thassa's Oracle, looked at the top 5 cards, and lo and behold, that was Teferi on board. I had a Mana Crypt on board and a Displacer Kitten. I put it on top, flickered my 1 ring on board, drew the Teferi, played Teferi, and then not only did I lock my opponents out from drawing any other cards with all the Ristic Studies and Fishes on board, I was able just to win, draw my library out, and win with the flick of the Thassa's Oracle that was already on board. So fucking crazy. This is the best Thassa's Oracle deck in the whole game. But let's move on to removal and interaction. All right. I want to talk about this very quickly. We have a pretty standard package that you'll see. Notably, Offer You Can't Refuse is a powerhouse in this deck. It is both a ramp spell and a counter spell. I've used this multiple times to counter like a Mox Opal or a Mox Diamond that didn't have a land to pitch to. Not to mention being a late game tutor that you have to be used strategically to either stop someone from winning or keep your own winning. I had a game where I had to give someone 2 treasures and they used it in the game that I exiled the Underworld Breach, but it was beautiful because it was like, dude, that got me there because literally I was able to pivot from a breach line to using my professional facebreaker to shred through my library, already having Pool from Eternity, used Pool from Eternity, got breach from exile, and just kept on pushing. We've already talked about Angel's Grace, pretty standard package, Flusterstorm, all the other good stuff. Remember running Lightning Bolt to go with our combo. Currently actually running Lightning Bolt over Touch the Spirit Realm. This is a proactive deck. We are trying to win the game. I am not worried about stopping my opponents. So having Lightning Bolt both as a combo piece and as a piece of great removal for Dranith or whatever net is really powerful. MBT, Mental Misstep, Odawara, pretty standard red Elemental Blast. Notably, we are running the new Sync into Stupor, and I actually have a game that I completely blew out a TNK player with this deck. It's fucking up. I basically allowed them to we interacted as much as we can, and then I let them use all the resources they possibly could, and they flashed back Savine's Reclamation. Only have 2 treasures left. And I fucking went, okay, I'm going to respond to your Savine's Reclamation with the Sync into Stupor, and completely sent it back to their hand and blew them out. They were left there like, well, I'm done. And they passed it along, and it sucked, but that's what happened. So the last notable card, I want to talk about the other MDFC, Witch Enchanter. Well, actually one of my boys that I did a deck tech with. Check out the video at Nas in the Command Zone. Really great video. But Witch Enchanter, he asked if this was viable in cEDH. I think it is. The fact that it's an untapped land is great on the back. I think it's just a mainstay if you are playing low color white colors decks. And in this deck specifically, even though we're 3 colors, I've had games where I cast Witch Enchanter to make copies with it with my Satya, and so we're just able to pop 2 artifacts and or enchantments, and I can keep doing that every turn as long as the original copy is still on board. So I fucking love this card, and it's honestly a mainstay already in my head, but we'll continue to test with it and see if the color fixing becomes a problem. Same thing with Sink and Super. We're not a control deck, so these are more controlling cards. I can see a universe where we take them out. As of right now, these are right cards that I'm just like, yo, they're not going anywhere. They're not. I fucking love them. Board protection and spell protection. We have, once again, our counter magic, our same interaction package. Notably, we have Displacer Kit in there, being able to protect our creatures by flickering them. We also have this is also a recovery pile, so we have our silence effects that we'll talk a little bit more about a little bit later. But Goblin Engineer, being able to recur the artifacts or enchantments that we want to bring back from our graveyard. We have Pinnacle Monk, once again the mono red powerhouse, being able to bring back instants and sorcery, get back that counter spell that you want to your hand to stop your opponent on the next turn, or even just flashback, like, oh, they count out the silence. I have a shit ton of treasures. All right, pass. I'm gonna go past Pinnacle Monk. I'm gonna cast the silence again. There's so many ways to make crazy amount of mana in this deck that I just kid you not, it's just busted. And so I love this. Of course, we've already talked about it. Savine's Wreck, Pull for Eternity, we've already talked about. Counter magic pile, all the other good stuff, and all One Ring giving us protection to the dome, and Underworld Breach. Not just a win con, but also can be used for value to pull things back. So yeah, it's a great recovery pile. So yeah, notably, we've already talked about it. The main ones is that graveyard recursion pile, which we are using our graveyard as a resource. So being able to just get things out and reuse them are really powerful. Next, I've already talked about the exile and recursion. Next, we are going to the Stax Tax pile, which you will be very pleased to see that it's no Drannith Magistrate. If you haven't noticed already, we don't run Blind Obedience, we don't run Drannith Magistrate, we don't run a lot of Aven Mind Sense, or even the new Aven Interrupter. When I first built this deck, my whole mindset was, I'm trying to win the game. And I want to figure out how do I take this deck that's eventually going to be a pre-con into making a deck that's super viable. And so I said, I'm going to do something to taboos, and I'm going to look at the staples list, but I'm not going to add any stacks pieces. I want to see what is the core 99 of the deck. And what I found is, where I expected to lose a bunch of games and see what the deck's weaknesses are, I found something that was like, oh shit, you don't need those cards to make this deck effective. What you really need is just these stacks pieces, our value engines, to draw cards, make mana, and prevent people from interacting with you, which I could vouch to vary as a stacks piece, because it's the specific usage of the word can't during your opponent's turns is super powerful. So that this list is, I wouldn't say turbo, it's not rock slide turbo, but it's very effective at being the thing, which is, hey, y'all, I'm not here to stop you. I can't control the table. I'm here to win the game. That's it. All right. There have been times, notably, that I have drawn the wrong side of my deck, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Next is our ramp package, because I've talked about it. Offer You Can't Refuse. I've won games where literally I've used Offer as a counter spell, but even more Offer Can't Refuse to counter my own spells, to ramp out, to color fix, to do everything I want. Pretty standard package. Curse Mirror to copy a Dockside, or just come out as a Mana Rock. Chain of Vapor to bounce and flicker stuff. Kitten to flicker rocks. Dockside, everything's pretty standard. Jay Will talked about it. Pretty standard artifact package. Professional Facebreaker. Talk about this for a second. I fucking love how Professional Facebreaker interacts with Satya, where you basically can have Satya on board, cast Professional Facebreaker, go to combat. You have Satya doing combat damage and a copy of Professional Facebreaker doing damage. And if both those do damage, instead of making 2 treasures, you have 2 triggers of 2 treasures. So you'll make 4 treasures off that combat, and it just keeps happening more and more and more, even more exponentially. So, and to be able to make a shit ton of treasure and then have someone to put them all in one package is really great. Everything else is pretty standard, though. We're choosing to run all 3 talismans. With the new land hate cards coming out, I think I'm still gonna run all 3 talismans. Not to mention, they're great to go into a Soul Ring, into a Talisman, into an Esper, or a Soul Ring, or Mana Crypt, into a Talisman, into a Fish. I love this, and they really set up for those really explosive turns where I may cast Crash to kill my Talisman after using it, to then fill my grave up more, and it's just great. We're not using our life total, so let's have some fun. Next category is I want to talk about our land base. Before we go into playtest hands, this is a pretty standard land base. I'm counting Brass's Tunnel Grinder because it's on the back, but there's nothing really crazy to talk about the land base. We've already talked, of course, we're running Odawara. We spoke on that one, but the biggest notable thing is we're running these MDF speeds. I'm very, very much interested, and actually, now that I noticed it, I've actually forgot to add Pinnacle Mux to our land base. So if you don't know how to do your tags, you can just label them custom and then just go bop, save, and then bop. So we're sitting at 28 lands if you count the Pinnacle, but outside that we're at 27 lands. And just the biggest thing to notice is these MDF speeds. I'm seeing them, and I thought the singular color would be a problem. It's not. It's honestly cracked. I fucking love it, and it just gets the job done every time. I've never been a time where these cards have messed me up color wise. I've actually enjoyed seeing them in my hand and knowing that they could be part of a game plan, whether it's towards a win, whether it's towards a removal plan, or whether it's towards like, hey, I can always just pitch this to an early force of will, which I've used before. So great things, really great things. I kid you not, it's been really fun. And the only other last notable land base, as I can say, is probably Tarnished Citadel. We're choosing to run this one over another one of the Battle Bond lands. We're not using our life total. And the a lot of our deck is red and blue. I can show you all the color fixing, but the biggest thing is Tarnished Citadel just being like, hey, we're gonna give you all three colors. We're gonna keep it pretty simple. We're gonna get the job done, but within that, we are gonna make you pay 3 life. And I'm being honest, for this deck specifically, it really does not hurt us at all to be sitting here and just paying 3 life to get the colors that we need and want. So before we go into our playtest hands, I want to just show you all just some notable ass categories, starting off with value and synergy. We've already talked about these are all things that keeping them around can add extra value. We've pretty much all talked about these creatures and their ETBs. As you know, it's a common trend. Either they trigger off our opponents doing things or they trigger off entering the battlefield. Very powerful effects. And Roaming Throne just being a powerhouse by itself and with the rest of the crew. We also have our flicker effects being Displacerkin and Ephemerate, instant speed enabler with Teferi Time Raveler. Once again, Teferi is not just a silence effect. It is not just part of a win con. It is also a way to uptick it and turn on our sorceries at instant speed. And it's just, I've actually had a game where an opponent did that against me when I was playing my Satya deck, and it was literally like, oh shit. He flashed a Jessica's Will to go search and ended up going fine. When I was casting what did he cast? I went to go cast a Teferi Time Raveler. He had a Teferi out and then flashed in Jessica's Will, checked the top 3, found a offer you can't refuse, and then followed that up by going to go search for... Oh no, he blew me out on that. But then I followed that up to saying like, okay, no problem. I think what I ended up doing is casting a recruiter, so we'll get Grand Abolisher and then use the treasures he gave me to win the game. So it sucks that the treasures didn't work on his side that time, but this game, it just worked out exactly how they need to work out. All right. Notably, silence effects, we're running all 4. Grand Abolisher, Ranger, Silence, Teferi. Nothing special to say there. We're only running 2 of the extra turn effects at this time. We're running 3, but notably because we're not playing Jeskai, we're playing Jeskai, we're not playing mono red. You don't need 3. You have things like Spellseeker, Mystical Tutor, and other things of the sort to make sure that you can get your hands on these. I fucking love Final Fortune. This card I've snuck in so many wins with this card so many times. It's been so spicy. I can tell you all stories for days, and if you want to know them, drop down the comment section. Tell us some stories, TTC. We can have a TTC story episode or something like that. Next is Cloneth, is clone and copy effects. Just on the Metaphorth, Flesh Duplicate, and Curse Mirror. Notably, we're not running Phantasmal Image because if we make a clone, it will sack to the Satya trigger if we try to target. So we're choosing to run Flesh Duplicate over that purely for that deck tech. And the 3 turns of stage round is just, doesn't really matter. All right. Now, last thing, you can check out my sideboard if you're really interested in seeing where my head's at. There's a lot of cards that we're currently really thinking about including, even just everything from just a basic island and just really cool things. But I will really say these are all cards that are in consideration, either things that I'm just thinking about adding or just kind of just when they put a little more time in, like notably Trouble in Pairs. a little slow for what we're trying to do, and the 2 white is still a little slow. I'm choosing to run the 1 ring over it because I can push out the 1 ring on turn 1 and turn 2 a lot easier with a Mana Crypt or Mana Vault, where Trouble, literally most games will come out turn 3 and trigger a lot, but we're a turbo mid-range deck, so we're trying to really usually win by turn 3 or turn 4. And yeah, like, it's pretty simple. But with that said, let's go check out some playtest hands. All right. Oh, before we do that, if you can see the color fixing, we're actually really great on our colors right now. Mana production is all above 40%, and none of our symbols in our deck are even cracking 35%. So we're very good on mana production. And our spell curve, I'll say it's a little high on the 3 drops, but we're making so much mana, dude. You gotta just check out the gameplay video. It's fucking crazy. All right. So this is, let's say I'll roll a D4. And we'll choose that the turn order. We will say that we are going first. Roll it. All right. We're going first. And let's say we're going against TNK going second. Going third is Narset Enlightened Exile. And going fourth is Talion. Pod full of turbo, mid-range, and a control deck. All right. And we got a lot of breach. All right. So we're going to see our first 7. So we're going to deal another hand. First hand. This is a fucking keep. We're going first. So we have 2 options. We have the option to go fish down on turn 1. We can literally just, if we draw a land, we can literally go Tundra into a Wheel of Fortune, disrupting our opponent's hands and just cucking them completely. If we draw a hand, and I'm keeping this even, and if my opponents kept very beefy hands, especially Talion on going forth, they more than likely have a counter spell. So I may go fish for the safe route, but Wheel of Fortune going on the play is great. If we check our first draw for land, if we draw a land, this is goated. We didn't draw land. So what I probably would end up doing is I'm trying to win. I'm on the play. I think Wheel of Fortune is great to set up for a, I think Wheel of Fortune is going to be great for setting up for some cheeky things in the future. So what I'm going to do personally is go, it depends. Probably just Tundra into fish, hold off on Mox Diamond so I can play Ancient Tomb into Mox Diamond once I draw more cards. And like, if I were to draw, just say we got up a maximum of 4 cards, or let's say we just drew 1 extra card off turn and then 1 for turn. So we would just play the Ancient Tomb and just keep trying to draw cards and just do our thing, slower game. We could have been aggressive with the Wheel of Fortune, but with the tally on the board, I didn't think it was really worth it. And we're going to draw a shit ton of cards. Let's just present a super safe turn 3 to 4 win, which we would have had with the silence. All right. So let's do one more. Let's roll another D4. This time we're going third. And let's say going first is Roxy. Going second is Kinnan. We are going third. And going fourth is Godo Bandit Warlord. So let's deal a fresh new hand. And this one is, I'm not in love with it. We're going third, so having some interaction would have been great. I like seeing Fairy Mastermind to be able to do a turn 2 Fairy Mastermind, but we're not guaranteed to get because we don't have a Mana Crypt or anything. This is the first 7. Let's go a little bit deeper. So we'll just check out the next 7. Same thing again. We're seeing Hollow Final Exotic Orchard. We have the Archivist of Ogma, and we don't have a guaranteed way to go get our commander out, but actually I'm lying. We could turn 3 go J-Will into Imperial Recruiter into Dockside and use the Dockside treasures to cast our commander. I actually like this hand now that I look at it. What I'm seeing here is I can play Exotic Orchard turn 1 if there is tap it for blue, hold open Flusterstorm to stop Roxy or Godo who are trying to win early, and then follow that up with a turn 2 instant speed Archivist, and then into a turn 3 Jessica's Will Imperial Recruiter Dockside, get our commander out, and then set up for a turn 4 win. We also have Recruiter of the Guard. If our Imperial Recruiter gets killed, we can make a shit, and we can say if the Imperial Recruiter gets killed, we can always cast Recruiter of the Guard, and we'll start making copies of our Archivist or the Dockside, depending on what line we want to go for the win. Whether it's value with extra, we do have Godo who's going to be tutoring when they try to win at least, but we'll be able to stop them hopefully by that point. We have Roxy, who's going to be trying to tutor, and Kennen. Everyone's playing fetches. Kennen and Roxy are going to be tutoring. If we look for the draw for turn, let's see if this makes things any better. So fucking mana crypts. I'm going to be honest, this is fucking great. What I see is easy. If we're tapping for blue and white, go with exotic, orders it into a mana crypt, hold open Flusterstorm. If it's nothing too scary, then we just go straight after that, flash an Archivist on end step or in response to a fetch. And then at that point we can go turn to J-Will into Imperial Recruiter, into a Dockside, at that point we'll be able to cast our commander, make another copy of Archivist of Ogma, still holding up the Flusterstorm. And so yeah, like I like that. We're set up for a really crazy turn. We're gonna look to try to draw as many cards as we can off the 2 Archivists of Ogmas, and then at that point we are just untapping with 4 mana, and the world is our orange, and then one of our combo lines in our hand. So we would just be, the only thing is we'd be leaning on the fact to have a lot of mana on turn 2, both the Dockside on board. All we need is an Ephemerate or some other cheeky thing, whether we want to go Recruiter into Ephemerate, or if we want to go to combat, make a copy of Dockside on, this is turn 3. Go to combat, make a copy of Dockside, go to our second main phase, cast Recruiter into Spellseeker. Cast Recruiter into Spellseeker and start doing the line after that. And then we have Angel's Grace in the deck if we have to stretch things out across 3 turns. So with that being said, this was a great showcase of what the deck did, how we did it, how we made all this possible. And I just honestly want to say, I want to thank you all so much for being an amazing audience. You all are awesome, both on Twitch. Shout out to my guy Pure Fury and Sir Trekkie. And also, I just want to say big shout out to all of you on YouTube who are both watching this live and on the VOD later, bro. Y'all are awesome. I just want to say, if you're looking for more ways to support the show, we have a plethora, starting off with our ThunderConductor proxies, both paper deck and card stock. Get your access to be able to get these early Modern Horizon 3 cards, and I love to increase access to this amazing forward that we call cEDH. We also have our ThunderConductor merch. It is the softest, cleanest merch, and it's just what you got to do. Check us out, link in the bio. We also have our Patreon. I want to give an amazing shout out to our Mono Red patrons, Scott Mitchell, Wavy Hashira, Nathan Stridham, The Prater, and Sir Trekkie. Y'all are fucking awesome, and you make all this possible. And if you want to join the community and get access to get the shout outs during the streams, exclusive Q&As that can be showcased right here on the streams, and also submit decks to be reviewed, to have the chance of having them reviewed right here on the channel, check that out. And last but not least, if you say, AT, I don't want no proxies, no merch, or no Patreon, but I do want to say I love you and I love what you do, and I'll support you one time for fun time. No problem. Check the link in the bio, buy me a coffee. It keeps me up and keeps the lights on. But with that being said, I love y'all. Y'all be great, and check out and stay tuned for this SATYA Aetherflux genius gameplay that I'm about to do with my homies. I'll see y'all soon. Peace.